Friday night sound session with John Moore and DJ Hyphen on Q93.
Right now we are joined by one of our favorite artists in the world. Introduce yourself.
Oh, well, I'm Janelle Monae.
There you go.
That's what it is.
Welcome to Seattle.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, definitely.
No doubt. Well, let's talk a little bit about your background. I know your buzz is very crazy right now, but for people who maybe aren't familiar, let's tell them where you're from. You're from Kansas City, Kansas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which
yes,
is
that's right.
different from Kansas City, Missouri.
Sure.
Yeah,
but how different?
Because
we don't.
It's Kansas City, Kansas.
But they're right next to each other, right?
Yeah, it's still different.
Okay. Well, that's what I want to know. How different are they? And growing up there, what was it like?
It's different. Kansas is not as culturally diverse as Missouri would be, so I would always head over to Missouri when I was trying to find like-minded people with different shades. And I grew up in the poorest county in Kansas, which is Wyandotte County, and resources were, a little limited. However, I stayed involved in the arts. It was like my escapism, if you will, from just kind of dealing with not being able to be like a foreign exchange student in China, and not being able to really freely express myself without the conservative mindsets and cynical thinking that I was plagued with.
Oh, doubt.
We got a lot of us. That's what I'm talking about. We can actually get into it.
Yeah, some of our guests aren't.
It's like just, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Yeah, big shout out to all of them.
But I love Kansas. It has most definitely shaped me into the person that I am right now.
What about musically? How did it shape you?
Well, musically, I started a duo by the name of Shajay. It was my best friend and me. And I also was involved in a trio by the name of the Weirdos. And so, we were always trying to express ourselves, politically. It was a black and white state, it seemed like. So we always were, very bold in the way that we expressed ourselves on stage. And I would always win lots of talent shows. And, I would get the money. Like, I was 11 years old. And, you get $500 to $1,000. That was a lot of money.
Oh, no doubt.
But I used a lot of it to help my mom out and, to pay the bills and buy outfits for us to go performing again.
That's cool.
and such.
Who were some of your early inspirations musically and otherwise? And when, at any particular point, did you know that this is something that you were interested in doing as a career?
Sure. I really, I love musical theater growing up. I love feeling very whimsical in a time where, rap was very influential. I love Tupac. He was most definitely one of my favorites lyrically, and just his cadence. I was a big supporter of that. Anita Baker, she had a very deep voice. I didn't really get into singing, by myself, actually. My cousin, who's 3 years older than me, she wanted to be the singer. And we were probably like 5 at the time, and I worshipped her. Like, I wanted to be exactly like Jama. That was her name. And so I would cry when she would go off to school. I wanted to dress like her. And when I found out that she wanted to be a singer, all the songs that she would perform and sing around the house, I would sing as well. And so it just so happened, though, like our family members, they would hear me trying to sing like her, and I guess they were like, you should be the singer, and I was like, no, I didn't think anything of it, and I started just rehearsing so much and just practicing that Jama was like, I'm through. Like,
you pushed her out the business.
But of course, God, at that time, I just wanted to be like her, and I stuck with it. So it was something, I love feeling goosebumps when I heard other people sing, and I wanted to give other people the same goosebumps that I grown up feeling.
Now, when did you add the Monae to your name?
That's my name.
Oh, that's the official name?
Yeah.
That's the coolest name I've ever heard.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome.
I have a sister, my younger sister named Janelle.
Oh, really? She spelled it like mine? Oh, okay, cool.
After spending some time in New York for school, you found yourself down in Atlanta to get your music thing started. What was it about Atlanta that drew you there initially?
Actually, I thought that Atlanta was one of the most countryest places in the entire universe.
Yeah.
And so I was not attracted to it, just based off the stories that I'd heard at all. I was in New York for a while, and so I didn't want to pursue musical theater because I didn't want to be too influenced by the standardized teachings that our teachers were teaching, of course. Look, I'm trying to find another one.
I know, exactly.
But yeah, so I left there because I wanted to just interpret art the way I'd seen it in my mind over the years, and the colors and the shapes that I had. I wanted to create my own music. So I was headed over, actually, believe it or not, to the Netherlands. I wanted to go out the country, and I had a layover in Atlanta, Georgia. And, you know, I like taking lots of risks. Sometimes they work to my advantage, sometimes they don't. But this was one I think that really worked to my advantage. I ended up just saying that I'm going to stay here. I had a best friend who was at Clark, and I ended up living in a boarding house near her campus on Parsley Street, in the AEC, with 5 other girls. And I stayed there, and I started to write music. This guitarist and myself, we would go around to Morehouse, Spelman, Clark, Morse Brown, and do dorm lounge tours. I would literally go to all the lounges and just sing for free. And so I built up a support system. I said, you know, let me test out my lyrics and my voice. I want to know what my peers, you know, college kids, what do they think about what it is that I'm doing? And so I put out an independent project entitled The Audition by myself, and the Deltas, sorority there, gave me a CD release party. And I'll tell you, like, there was like such a long line of like girls, like just, and guys, just lined up, and like some girls would come up and I would sign their CD for them, and they would cry. And I'm like, okay. So that's when I knew that people were really paying attention to what it was that I was saying, and that I couldn't take that for granted, and that this could really be life-changing if I stayed true and I accepted this responsibility as an artist.
And you definitely linked up with some like-minded people down there, and you guys actually started your own label, right? The Wonderland
Art Society
label.
Yes,
what made you guys want to start that as like an official collective?
Well, we love art. You know, we're just lovers of art, and we believe it's up to us to use our superpowers, if you will, for good. And we fight for art, and we feel like it's also our responsibility to help alter history. And with that said, we do that with being fearless through art, and you know, just making sure as a team, you know, that we're going out and we're trying to at least help, you know, help change lives with the paints that we throw on the canvas in Wonderland. So.
All right, you mentioned the superpowers. I have to ask this.
We're going to ask that later.
Oh, we're going to save that for later? All right, we'll save that for later. So in Atlanta, you ended up linking up with Big Boi, of course, from Outkast. What was your very first impression like? With the very first time you met him, what was that like?
Well, I met him at Justin's, which is Sean Combs' restaurant in Atlanta.
I believe that's the one where Mace rapped for Diddy, and he signed him like on the spot.
Oh, I didn't know.
Sorry, random trivia.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. That's great. So yeah, I was down there doing an open mic night one night, and I never really do open mic nights, and I don't know why. I really don't remember, you know, what led us to go down there. But we went, did open mic night, and then I got off stage, and I felt this arm, or this hand, excuse me, grab my arm, and he was like, you know, man, I really love what it is that you're doing. You know, I want to work with you. Let's talk. You know, and so I did. I met him up at Purple Ribbon in Stankonia, and we spoke, and I let him hear records of what my team, Wonderland, and what we were doing. And he really believed in our movement and what it was that we were doing as a company. And so he gave me 2 placements. I was on the Big Boi Presents Got Perk Volume 2 for Letting Go. And then he and Dre had asked me to be a part of Idlewild, the album. So I got on Call the Law. We did that. We produced that in-house at Wonderland. And so Big Boi's been like a big brother, a mentor. I can always call on him. He's actually co-executive producing Metropolis, so that means a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that means a lot in terms of kind of the day and age where we are with the music and the industry side of it. There is definitely a lack of artist development and a lack of mentorship. So to be in that position as an up-and-coming emerging artist, it's a beautiful thing. So that's good.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Yeah,
it really
definitely.
is.